chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' Crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another pleasant episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 481, recorded Sunday, June 16th, 2024. Tonight we're talking about the winner of the June poll, which is the Mothman Prophecies from 2002. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Randeezy. What's up, man?
Ah, you're a monster! What the hell is wrong with you?
What's going on, buddy? Good to talk to you. Ready to talk cryptids today?
You know I am. I'm always ready to talk cryptids with my boy who's a bit of a cryptid nut.
I'm a bit of a cryptid nut. I have a little bit of a cryptid nut.
The layers that we could pull back.
I'll let you decipher what the hell that means.
Woo! I don't know whether to shit or go blind. Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Indrid Soju. I'm going to make a little prediction here. I predict Bob bought too many blues last month and probably will buy too many blues next month.
Oh my God, millions will die.
Am I blowing your mind?
Millions of my dollars will die at the hands of Vinegar Syndrome.
If I had millions of dollars to die, that'd be rad.
What?
If I had millions of
dollars to die?
Yeah, that's...
You missed a thing.
The
man.
joke
You just skipped right over a thing.
You gotta be quicker than that.
Come on.
Sorry.
Come on.
Nope.
Fucking idiot.
Randy, this is the June poll was yours. It was your takeover month. How do you feel about the Mothman Prophecies winning? You excited?
You know, I was excited to watch it again to some degree, but I will say I was a little sad to see some of the other opportunities go sideways. But you know, I'm happy with the outcome. I wouldn't have put it on there if I didn't, if I wouldn't wanted to see it. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Ain't that just the way? Cool.
It's just the way.
Well, before we get into it, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Speaking of polls, our July poll is currently posted over on our Patreon website. If you guys support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this July. It's my takeover month. The theme for July is getting weird with it. And the movies you're voting between are The Greasy Strangler, Nightmare Beach, and The Ice Cream Mang.
Bob, I hear you're a bit of a weirdo nut. How those numbers looking?
You heard correctly, my friend. I like my stranglers extra greasy. I think I misspoke last week, actually. I'm pretty sure that I got my numbers mixed up, so I'm going to clarify. They did change slightly, but so the Ice Cream Man is in first place, and that was also in first place last week. 44% of the vote goes to the Ice Cream Man. Second place, Nightmare Beach with 30% of the vote. And finally, The Greasy Strangler with 26%.
I think that's what's been consistently said.
I think I said Nightmare Beach.
I couldn't begin to tell.
Oh, you said Nightmare Beach. Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
still, that's like not... Like, there's not a runaway.
They're still close. Yeah. They're still close. Yeah. So good.
People just aren't sure which terror to go with.
They sure are
what they want to subject themselves to.
Yeah.
Open up a can of whiff-ass.
Hell yeah. Yeah, they're all like serial killer movies. They're all very, very weird serial killers. Like super weird. So
yeah,
get your votes in.
All right.
We'll see what we're talking about this July. In other Patreon news, we're dropping mini casts every other Friday. We got a brand new mini cast that came out on the 7th. I was talking about the first Omen. And next up, this Friday, the 21st, we're going to be dropping another mini cast on a new release, In a Violent Nature.
Ooh, nice.
All right.
That's another new one, right?
Yes.
Freshen.
Yeah, it's being sold as an ambient slasher.
It's a Friday the 13th movie.
Ambient?
Yeah, I don't
know, man. I don't think people know what to expect out of this movie, which is crazy because the trailer pretty much tells you the whole deal.
Yeah. If you're into the trailer, you'll be into the movie.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it is. I dug it for what it was, but if you want to hear all of my thoughts on it, that's dropping this Friday over on Patreon.
I do.
Tune in, find out. Also, if you guys do want to listen to the mini casts that we're putting out, you don't have to listen to them just on Patreon. Whenever you sign up, you get emailed an RSS feed that you can drop in your podcatcher of choice and listen to all 132 mini casts we've released anywhere you would like.
My lord.
Damn.
Bob,
A lot of shit.
last week you recommended I check out your mini cast on the first Omen. I did, and I'm glad I didn't watch it. Well, no, that's not true. I might still watch it. I might still watch it, but
And I want my money back is what I was
good cover.
I was not upset about it, but it's like, we don't need it. We don't need it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I've heard like the gamut of opinions on that seem like it's skewing very, very positive from what I've seen.
Well, Bob's a heathen, non-Christian. So,
That's true.
Oh, well, we know that.
He's not really invested in the church, so.
Yeah, so yeah, it's his lack of investment in
But
Christianity.
you guys,
that
on the
makes
other hand,
Omen.
just
So
tithing
me
your
and Randy
asses
are really
off.
going to get something out of it.
Yeah, this is a movie for us and my people. bro.
Juice over here said 10%. Fuck that. I'm giving you 70%. That's
Honey,
good enough
you've
for
got
God.
a big storm coming.
Damn.
Damn.
In other Patreon news, we got a brand new Patreon supporter we got to give mad shouts outs to.
Oh yeah.
A big, gigantic thank you to Bonnie for signing up on Patreon and showing us love. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the show. It truly does help keep Straight Chilling rolling. And as is tradition around these here parts, we owe Bonnie the Straight Chilling salute. This one goes out to you.
Oh, God, slap me in the ass.
Thanks, Bonnie. We appreciate you.
Thanks for that slap in the ass.
Hashtag
Keeping it in.
appreciate you.
Appreciate ya.
Appreciate you.
The last bit of Patreon news that I have here is, and it's a big one, y'all. This is your final
make your money.
reminder.
Oh, man.
We're reopening the You Picked the Flick tier for the last time this year. This Sunday, the 23rd.
God.
June 23rd.
All of them?
All of them. So,
All of them.
if you haven't listened to the past couple episodes, we're taking the final 10 You Pick the Flick spots, which would typically be dropped in two separate quarterly openings, but we're slamming them together. We're opening it one more time. 10 spots going to 10 different people. And that's it for the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's illegal, right?
Yeah, it's a felony.
It's a felony.
It
Yes.
is.
Wow.
Now, this is also something to consider is it's possible. So this is the last time you can make us watch a movie for 2024 for sure, because we're not splitting it into the two separate quarters, but it's possible to say that this might be the last opportunity you ever have to make Straight Chillin' watch a movie, because if we announce we're retiring on episode 500, if that's the
Justin's
big
facing some pretty
announcement-
serious charges in Korea right now, so we're kind of making new adjustments for the future.
I mean, if we decide to just close shop, 500's the top of the pyramid for us, then this might be your last chance ever.
stand by for our new host, Chicken and Whiskey Stains. Chicken and beer stains. There it is. That's what I was going for. Fried chicken and beer stains coming up soon.
This
Chemex stains?
the fear mongering was definitely learned in the church for sure. You guys really picked up some stuff.
I'm just saying, you never know what's going to happen. 500's coming up. This could be your last shot. I'm just,
Trying to confuse me with your liberal biblicisms.
just adding some more weight to
You
the
might
situation.
just die and go to hell tomorrow. So
It's possible.
you better repent. That's all I'm trying to say. So this is the only way that you guys can outright pick a movie for us to review. Again, we're opening up this tier on our Patreon website at an undisclosed time of day this Sunday, June 23rd. 10 spots going to 10 different people. Check it out. That's all we got for Patreon. Do you guys have any plugs you got?
I have one thing to plug, just one plug. That plug is going to be a particular podcast, a guest appearance I'm in on Waxing the Porpoise with our friends Jim and Steve. We covered the film Lake Mungo. You guys know that Lake Mungo movie, yeah.
Faux show.
You're a fan, right, Bob?
Yeah, I've seen it 2 times, I think. I do like it. Yeah, it's creepy. It's a creepy found footage movie that I think is maybe somewhat underseen. So, yeah, good choice.
Well, yeah. It wasn't even my choice, but they called the right guy for that one. And I'll tell you one thing, Bob, you definitely want to listen to it because we give you mad shit on that episode.
Oh,
so
fuck.
check it
yes. I love it. Shit all over me. I can't wait to listen. I saw their email come through the Straight Chilling email account, and I hit y'all up. I was like, Randy, are you going to be on Waxing the Porpoise? You're like, yeah. And I was like, fuck yeah. I love it.
I'm so glad that you support us giving you such a hard time on
bring it on
in a forum that you are not in.
Oh, don't ever stop. Keep it flowing, baby.
The masochism in you is what keeps this relationship fresh.
Shit all over me.
All right.
No, yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to it. Can't wait. Check out Waxing the Porpoise everywhere you guys get your podcasts.
This house might just be clean, unless, Bob.
I got one more thing real quick.
Else.
Joe Bob Watch Party this Friday, the 21st, 9 p.m. Eastern. Join us for the watch party if you'd like to. We're sending out links for the Zoom watch party just before showtime, 9 Eastern.
You just gotta have the last word, don't you, Bob?
Come
you
hang out
just
with
gotta
us.
have that last
I'm
word.
trying
Rob
to
can't
include you. Sorry. Okay,
Bob
it's
has to squeeze that last one in there.
I guess it's clean.
This house is clean.
Wait, one more thing.
Let's one more fucking thing.
It's filthy.
Let's get into the main event. We're talking about the Mothman Prophecies, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Babbo, where's your boxo?
Yeah, did you not have this box? Oh, you did have the box.
Okay.
I forgot.
Get out.
Well, you didn't put it up, did you? I thought you put up like a little
I wanted to
figurine or
keep
something.
you in suspense.
Now Bob's showing off the figurines. Hey, fuck you. You need an extra set of hands to throw up all your collectibles on the screenshot. And here's the Mothman Tiki mug.
That is the reason you would want extra hands. I gotta show off the merch.
Man,
Well.
I need a Mothman Tiki mug now. Fuck.
I know. I'm surprised you don't have one. I'm kind of disappointed, not gonna lie.
What am I drinking out of? This normal glass? What am I, a loser? Are you kidding?
Yes. Yes.
One of the other 69 tiki mugs you have? I mean,
That's just unacceptable. Rookie numbers. Mothman Prophecies. Yeah, this is on Blu-ray. It's on DVD. You can rent it. You can stream it. It's everywhere. It's really easy to find. From 2002, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 59 minutes. This was directed by Mark Pellington, written by Richard Hatem, based on a novel written by John A. Keel. Stars Richard Gere, Laura Linney, David Elginberg, Deborah Messing. Who else?
Weird pause there.
Who else? Will Patton. Your boy Will Patton killing it in this movie. A bunch of other folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by the back of the box is as follows. If you see it, are you safe? If you don't, are you next? Driven by mysterious circumstances surrounding his wife's death, John Klein uncovers chilling secrets behind the Mothman, a timeless, nameless horror whose appearance spells doom for all those who see it.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before in my life.
in my life.
He's going to the papers. The Mothman's talking to reporters in this movie.
Kind of.
Yeah, the Mothman does some funny things.
Actually, he does.
That will
Yeah, he does.
get
He's
into, yeah.
On the. He didn't say off the record. That shit's publishable.
You didn't say you were recording. Gentlemen,
This is a two-party consent state.
Mothman knows his legal shit. Have you
does.
guys seen this before, and would you recommend folks check it out? Randeezy, kick us off.
Yes, I've seen this movie a grand total of one singular time in the theaters with my mommy. It was I don't know why. We just kind of, I think my mom just wanted to see a Richard Gere movie, and that's what was out, and I went with. Yeah. Would I recommend? Yeah, I think so. I think it definitely has more claim to being a Christmas horror movie than a lot of the movies that you guys ascribe as sneaky Christmas. I think it's got it's further down that spectrum. So yeah, I think it'd be maybe a good wintertime viewing if we're going with our calendar. It's definitely one of the better cryptid horror movies that I have personally seen. I'll give it that. But I have some reservations.
Right on, Randeezy. Where were those reservations when you were putting your poll together? You left them
I hadn't seen the movie since I was a child, so I didn't remember those reservations, Bob.
Randy. Juice, what about you?
Yeah, I had seen this before. Like Randy, it had been quite a while since I've seen it. I don't know the last time I watched it, but it's been a while. And I've seen it at least once, maybe more than once. And I got to say, this lived in my mind as a pretty positive movie. But I got to say, on this watch, I was kind of disappointed or underwhelmed. Maybe this is probably the most underwhelming watch of this film I've seen, and I think it's like dated in some kind of negative aspects. But I mean, it's solid too for Christmas, I guess. It's not one of the top 20 I'm probably going to be reaching for Christmas horror, but it's an alternate
on your scale. It's like
Prometheus definitely is going to be the top of that list.
Absolutely. My God. And put that on next to Christmas Story, picture-in-picture style.
Maybe loose recommend. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check this out?
I would recommend it, yeah. I've seen this in the theater, and I think maybe once before, or once since that. I like this movie. Maybe there's like some sort of nostalgia at play here, but this movie like kind of creeps me out. It's effective in a lot of ways. It gets under my skin. So yeah, I dig it. I would recommend it, just kind of generally.
Cool.
So,
all right.
So Bob,
medium recommend, I guess.
Medium
across the board
is okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Randy, you had a question?
No, I said, well, all right.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to spoil.
Sounds like a medium to loose recommend, boys.
It's a loose recommend.
Medium to loose, Bob's preference.
Good Lord. My God.
Fucking
Watch your profanity.
God damn. It's bargain bin friendship, man. I just got to return it. Fuck. We're going to be spoiling the shit out of the Mothman Prophecies, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
I like a relaxed fit, gentlemen.
Shit.
It's in style these days.
Built for comfort, okay?
This man was raised in Jinkos. We can't forget.
Time to dust those bad boys off, boys. They're back.
Like toddler Jinkos my parents bought for me.
They're just men's jeans.
Raised in Jinkos.
My mom embroidered like little flames on the ass.
They're adult
just your
men's
dad's cut
jean
offs.
shorts. Yeah.
Your dad's whole cut offs with their Jinkos for you as a 2-year-old.
Oh man, that would have been perfect. Yeah, fuck.
Happy Father's Day, boys.
Hey.
Heard somebody's trying. Bob, you got that plop synopsis?
Yeah, I got it.
What the fuck did that come from? All right.
You're just
shooting from the hip tonight.
Just
Jesus
telling
Christ.
lies all day here at Straight Chillin'. Fuck me.
Going for triplets, I hear.
I just said someone out there.
Someone in the world is what I meant.
I heard that someone on this planet is trying to have a child.
I don't even know.
I don't know if I can back that up, but
I feel confident in that claim. Bob, hit us with that plot synopsis.
Plot synopsis. Here we go. All right. The movie opens up by saying it's based on true events that happened in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. We then meet our boy John Klein. He's a Washington Times reporter. He and his wife Mary Klein go view a house. They decide to buy it after a very vigorous makeout session in the closet. Mary speeds home because they're like really horny and want to bone it out. They on the way home, they see this like bizarre red-eyed moth creature thing, and it causes her to crash the car and bang her head. The hospital does a CAT scan, and they find brain cancer. Mary says she saw something weird and makes a bunch of spooky drawings of what she saw. She eventually loses her battle with cancer, and then we jump forward in time 2 years. A restless John decides to drive down to Richmond at 1 o'clock in the morning for a story he's covering. His car breaks down, and he knocks on a stranger's door asking to use the phone. A man named Gordon answers the door, pulls a shotgun on him. Gordon calls the cops, and Sheriff Connie Mills shows up and diffuses the situation. Gordon claims John's knocked on his door 3 nights in a row and is stalking him. John has no idea what Gordon's talking about. Connie takes John over to a hotel, and that's when he realizes he's in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is nowhere near Richmond, and he has no idea how he got there. Furthermore, he somehow traveled 400 miles in an hour and a half. The next morning, the mechanic says there's also nothing wrong with his car. That night, he stakes out Gordon's home, but Connie finds him. She says several honest people in town have been seeing bizarre things. She shows him a drawing one of the residents made, and it matches that of his wife's drawings. John investigates by talking to the woman that made the picture, as well as talking to some folks working in a fire station that received strange calls, and also talking to a young couple who saw a moth-like creature that caused their eyes to swell up and never fully heal. John starts getting weird calls himself. Gordon says a howling voice came out of his bathroom sink and said, quote, 99 would die, Denver 9. The next day, John sees a news story about Flight 9 to Denver crashing, and all 99 on board died. Gordon then sees a spooky man on his way home, claiming his name is Indrid Cole, and he says 300 will die equator. The next day, there's an earthquake in Ecuador, kills 300 folks. Connie tells John about a weird dream she had where she's drowning in cold water surrounded by presents, and a voice says, wake up, number 37, and then she wakes up from her dream. John gets a spooky call from Indrid Cole, who seems to be able to read his mind and say several things that he shouldn't be able to know. John records the conversation, has it analyzed. The engineer says the voice is not human. John tracks down a writer specializing in the supernatural who has experienced similar things. He says these creatures have always been around, and they have been known by different things. They're just a natural part of the world, but we can't see them, kind of like electricity. He tells John to never return to Point Pleasant or he'll die. John returns to Point Pleasant. He goes to see Gordon after a weird phone call, finds Gordon frozen to death in the woods. He's been dead for hours, and there's no possible way he could have made the call. Connie tells John a redheaded woman came to the station asking about him. He shows her a picture of his late wife, and it was indeed her. John's boss calls him and tells him to go meet the governor at the chemical plant in Richmond to do a story. He gets another spooky call that says tragedy will happen on the Ohio River, which the chemical plant is on. He tells the governor not to go and to shut the plant down. The governor goes, does the tour, and absolutely nothing happens. John ends up waiting in a hotel bar very far away from the plant. He receives a written message this time saying his wife, Mary, will call his Georgetown residence on Friday at noon. He goes home and waits for the call. Connie rings him first and invites him to spend Christmas with her family, because nobody should be alone on Christmas. The phone rings a second time, and he rips the phone out of the wall, expecting it to be Mary. The phone then somehow rings yet again, and he leaves to go back to Point Pleasant and spend Christmas with Connie and her family. He gets back and tries to cross the Silver Bridge, but there's crazy traffic. He has a feeling that the tragedy on the Ohio River is about to happen. He runs onto the bridge, warning folks. Connie is stuck on the bridge herself, and as it starts to slowly collapse, she runs around warning folks to evacuate the bridge as well. She gets back in her police car and radios for backup, and then the bridge falls, and her vehicle also falls into the river. John dives in and pulls her out of the super cold water, saving her life. 36 people died, but lucky number 37 did indeed wake up, as was prophesied. The movie ends by saying Mothman has been seen all over the world again, but never in Point Pleasant. Roll them credits.
All right.
A lot of shit happens in this movie.
A lot of shit happens in this movie. Like,
damn.
A lot of back and forths.
It is based on a novel, though, so I guess they had a ton of stuff to work with, plus like the quote like real life sightings that happen in Point Pleasant, which is like I think one of the ways this movie gets under my skin is to know that there was like over 100 like, legitimate, quote, legitimate sightings of the Mothman in Point Pleasant in about a 13-month span in the mid-50s. So, like, there was something going on, or maybe these folks were just bored, and just everybody wanted to make shit up.
No. Come on.
That seems like, I don't know, it's kind of spooky,
I honestly often wonder. It's hard to say for the 50s and the mentality. Thinking now as a jaded piece of shit, I often think of like, this middle of the like small town, middle of nowhere type of place where people might be relying on like small businesses or like, tourism in some fashion. I don't exactly know where this is located. Like in the same way you have the people from Jaws, like all having this town meeting about like, we gotta have a thing, even though there's a shark out there. It would not really surprise me to know that this like small town got together and was like, we gotta make some creature that will sell our town, something. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it's not too far-fetched to think that. I know it's
it's the atomic age at that time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like people are fascinated with the idea of extraterrestrials and things. And like I watched a couple of videos about like the supposed, like very short videos about the surveying the real life events or whatever. And they're very, very different than what we see on screen, which is to be expected to some degree, but like very, very different. What they do include that is legitimate is like obviously the bridge collapse. That's a real thing that happened, as well as some of the stories that some of the characters are telling are somewhat ripped from the firsthand accounts, but they're like the way that they're used, the way that they're told, they're interspersed into a much more dramatic Hollywood sort of story. So like there's some legitimacy in there that like helps it feel a little realer, even as it like sidesteps reality the entire time. So I don't know, like I feel like the first time I saw this, it hit a lot more legitimately because because of the based on a true story thing I hadn't been jaded out of that yet. You know what I mean? And this movie is a pretty bad example of a based on a true events sort of situation. These are fanciful retellings for sure. And I mean, even the time period is set in the modern era for starters, like just there on its own. Like there's things that happen in this movie that just wouldn't happen in the 50s flat out. Leaving voice messages for one thing, shit like that. Little basic things like that.
Or have it using the computer to like analyze the voice and stuff like that.
Right, yeah. Like just to legitimize things in the story. Sure. Because they can't legitimize it any other way. They don't have recordings of the fucking Mothman talking casually as Ingrid Cold or whatever. Like
John. I love that the Mothman spends like half of this movie just making like crank calls, like just fucking with people. Like that is so hilarious to me. Like this otherworldly being.
I think it's funny. Yeah, because like they go through such lengths. They brought in that guy in Chicago to like pretty much just to like lay out some groundwork, including the idea that like, well, we can't tell what they want. It's unknowable what they could want, just to justify the fact that the Mothman's motives are completely baffling and bizarre. Like, does he want Richard Gere there? Does he not want Richard Gere there? What is Richard Gere to the Mothman?
Because he lures him back home to Georgetown when the bridge is about to collapse. Like he doesn't want him to help.
But that's like, after months or whatever, like a week or two of stringing him along, like why and telling him these are the prophecies.
Yeah, it's confusing. But
and also sometimes it's a monster, and so when the wife sees it, it's a monster. And then like when the kids who are banging out in the car see it, it's a monster. But it also shows up at people's houses. Yeah. And it also just calls you.
It impersonates people.
It impersonates people. So, but then also has its own voice. Like sometimes it's in a sync, but it can call your phone.
Sometimes it's in a sync, yes. It's like Pennywise. This movie is actually just Pennywise. He moved to Derry right after this. No, I don't know, man. Like I forgot what I was gonna say about that actually, but yeah, it's a very strange. There's no like properties to cling on to, and this movie. So I think that's like. I can't decide if that's a good idea from a screenwriting perspective or a bad one when you're dealing with a cryptid that is like the evidence just doesn't exist. Like you just kind of have to make shit up anyway and make it compelling. So why not do whatever you want on the one hand to make it compelling, but on the other hand, if you're trying to make it believable, it doesn't do that. Like, I don't know. It's part of me feels like it's like, do whatever you want because you're making it up whole cloth anyway, except for the firsthand accounts that you're just sprinkling in.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me really. It's a little scattershot, but like
it does kind of bother me because it'd be like, imagine if just everything that happened with any kind of cryptid was just called Bigfoot, you know? And like, and I know sometimes it does get wild. Like Bigfoot has some electrical properties that shuts down your car, and like I know it gets wild. But in a general sense, I don't know. I guess it's more fun to imagine a Bigfoot as it is and how it would function and what its motivations would be. And you can see it like go into the wood or in your minds, like you have this image of it. But even calling it Mothman feels disingenuous in a way because it feels like you need to give it something. But also, too, you're saying it's like a dude that's going to meet you down by the factory, or it's going to look like Richard showing up at your door. Like, I don't know.
It's like an energy. I think the author kind of alluded that it's some sort of this eternal energy.
Yeah, is it an energy? Is it a demon? Is it an alien? Because in the actual, like in the factual Point Pleasant case, people widely speculated as it being alien, not anything else. It was not an invasion sort of deal. Like it was just this creature from outer space that went around creeping people out, and they all had different versions of it because it's not real, and they made it up.
No, they didn't.
Like, no, but they didn't.
Oh, so I also had a Mothman.
The town drunk and the school marm that saw the same thing. It looked wildly different, but they're calling it the same thing anyway.
He tongued my butt when I was sleeping.
All right. Well, we don't need to know the intricate sexual history of you.
Need to call my day man in here to take
a night man. I have I've got a decent amount of trivia that I'll try and sprinkle through this, but talking about like this shit that people actually said anyway. 1966 to 1967, there was a bunch of newspaper articles that came out in Point Pleasant. The very first one that was dropped was dated November 16th, 1966, and the title said, quote, "Couples see man-sized bird, ... creature ... something." So like eventually they landed on the Mothman title, and from what I was reading, I don't know if this is true or not, but the Batman TV show in the 60s had a villain that was a moth. He wasn't called Mothman, but he was like Killer Moth was what he was called, and people think that sort of influenced like finally landing on the Mothman title for the creature.
That could make a kind of sense. I was wondering about that because they really spend almost no time justifying the name, and Richard Gere who is a fucking Washington Post star reporter, doesn't even have a reaction to it being called that. He's just like, why Mothman? Like, not even that question ever crosses his lips. We see a little blurb like in a montage where it's like somebody described it as moth-like, and that's just where it comes from, I guess. I don't know. It like the inconsistency of it is I think part of trying to sprinkle in that real life lore when the real life lore itself is inconsistent because it's not real. So like he's trying to work some things in and make it as dramatic as possible. So hey, I don't know. I guess I'm a little split on it. It's silly or whatever, but so is the original story. The fact that they take it deadly serious is an approach that I kind of respect, even though it doesn't work all the way because of the very nature of the lore that they're building out from. I felt like at that time they couldn't really do Greys, and they couldn't really do like that sort of alien because this was like not that long after like fucking Mars Attacks and shit was coming out, where it was not taken seriously in the least. So like the fact that they kind of like sidestep that, but in order to take it seriously and hope that audiences would follow is a decision that I think they made. That's my suspicion.
I was mostly on board with that. Did this movie creep you guys out at all, or was it just me?
Nah, dude, just you.
Not this time.
Really? Wow.
The first time I thought it was like,
the first time it got you, but you were much younger.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it like blew my mind or whatever, but I remember like Justin, you said you felt positively towards it. So did I. I was like, wow, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. And it's a PG-13 movie, so I think it's pretty great for a sort of like slow burny, thrillery sort of thing for that age group. It's like if you're not quite ready for 7 or something like that, you might be able to dip your toes into the water of
Please.
Yeah. Okay.
There was like a handful of times when I was watching this where like my skin started crawling. I got like goosebumps. Like it legitimately
Really?
kind of got to me. Yeah. Maybe that's like triggering some sort of like latent memory that, you know, I first saw it when I was younger and it like spooked me, and like it's still, I don't know, man. But like when Will Patton,
Grow up!
never. Will Patton is doing a great job.
I love
in
Will
this
Patton.
movie. He's crushing it.
I want to see him in more shit.
Yeah, he's when he's describing the sync communication that he has, for some reason, like the way he delivers that, like kind of freaks me out. Honestly, like it got to me.
He was selling it well. Yeah, he was.
The performances in this movie sell a lot of the shit that the story can't.
They kind of have to, because
yeah, exactly. They had to get a Richard Gere in here.
Even when their story, like, I mean, even just us talking about that, Will Patton delivering what happened in the sink. That's kind of part of the problem too, is we don't experience the sink. We don't go to the factory. Like most of the time we're with the reporter who's hearing about these things, goes to these places, and nothing happens.
Well,
like that's the problem.
The when he does have a conversation with the Indrid Cold character on the phone, and he's like reading his mind and stuff. That was another point in the movie where I was kind of freaked out by it. It like really worked for me.
I could understand somebody feeling that way, but the way that the voice did not sound creepy to me on its own. Like,
Really?
like just purely and simply, like the sound of the thing's voice just sounded like any garden variety voice modulation of some kind to me. And I was just like, and the idea that this ethereal energy being is calling on the phone to be like, you've got a watch in your shoe, it's under your bed. Like, wow, no, I don't need that.
Yeah, doing like tricks. Yeah,
he's like,
and
the
also,
Jerky
too,
Boys are calling from fucking space.
I love it.
I just, even taking this voice. Okay, imagine that you've spent your whole life, you are an expert in sound design or whatever, and somebody brings you a recording that's somebody talking, and you yourself say these are not human vocal cords. Wouldn't you lose your mind?
That dude was pretty chill.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is, but it's not human. It's like, well, that's a pretty big discovery.
That?
I mean, that's like, if that's your expertise.
Yeah, you could
like
take that
it would be like if Randy was like, you know, a designer, and he's like, I know that something's faked, and you got a straight up picture that was like a fucking alien, and you're like, I know 100% that this is real. You wouldn't be like, well, I know that this is not edited. I mean, you would. That's like,
Randy,
just,
what would you do? Randy?
I mean, everything in here is
that
just
situation will ever happen.
I mean, you have a demon's voice on recorded.
No, I'm talking about the graphic design version of that.
No. I'm not interrogating you at this point. I'm saying in a hypothetical sense.
Gotcha.
This reporter has a demon's voice on the phone, and he has an expert that will say this is not a human voice. I mean, people like this is like
Justin,
big stuff here.
Literally, they have that for Bigfoot. We've seen the documentary where they show it to us, and it sounds like this.
Yeah, but no human could possibly do that. It can't be recreated.
Yeah, an expert did say that, and I'm sorry. I mean, I'm unimpressed.
It's
someone who said an expert. So
if you're an editor at the Washington fucking Post, and your star reporter has been missing on the anniversary of his wife's death for a few days, and calls in and says, I've got audio proof that the Mothman is real. An audio expert says that nobody can mimic this, and it's somebody saying like, is there a watch in your shoes? Like,
is
no,
your refrigerator
you
running?
would be laughed out of town.
I'm just saying, you personally, like, if you were saying I'm a sound expert,
I experienced that.
Yeah, if I'm a sound expert and I said this is not a human vocal cord,
I don't know how you'd.
I'll tell you this: my first impulse is. Oh, sorry, Bob.
But I mean, yeah, he puts it in his little machine, and you see the waveform, and it's like, Yeah, it's how I don't know how you could possibly conclude that it's not a human making that sound.
I don't. It's a waveform. Yeah, exactly. There's waveforms made of all kinds of things. I don't know, man. It's if it's me, if I'm in that situation, my first impulse is this audio engineer is stupid. I don't trust him to give an honest. I think he is trying to make something out of nothing or is stupid. Those are the options I think are Occam's razor.
I think what I wanted this movie to do a little bit more is I guess it kind of takes some of the strength out of it for me and a little bit in that like this man spends I guess that's what you just said is more intriguing to me is this man spends most of his time of this film in a setting where everyone supports and believes his crazy things, which are just so happen to be attached to his wife's death, which he's still mourning. Mm-hmm. So it's more intriguing to me to play off this aspect of like, is this man having a breakdown? You know, is he struggling to deal with this? But they don't.
Interesting to explore. Yeah.
They don't at all. Everybody believes and completely like supports them for the most part. Now, I know his boss is calling and stuff like that, but he tries to stop the governor. So there's like a little bit of conflict there, but things are just too smooth here. I don't know. There's just not a lot happening.
I think I know why too. It's because the majority of the feedback he gets is from Connie, who is a built-in love interest before she's anything else. And her take on it, because she has to be like the representative of good, honest, true, hardworking, real Americans in flyover country. It has to be like, well, I trust Will Patton. I trust him and his wife. They're good people. They wouldn't lie about this. Well, have you considered maybe they are crazy? Or maybe there's a mass hallucination or a big gas leak in the town. Like, I don't know, Connie.
There's a chemical plant nearby.
Maybe there's something in some water
that's fucked up.
Yeah. She's not even willing to consider that possibility when he brings it up, even though that is a leap of logic. It's like, there's no way the chemical plant would ever spill into the ocean. We know.
I like that they play it straight and take the Mothman as like fact in this. I think it's a fun exploration. I mean, you could make it more a cerebral type thing, and that would also be interesting, I think. But I'm definitely down for like the Mothman's just fucking real, and people are trying to figure out like what he's about.
Yeah,
I'm very down for that.
I don't know. I can I want it to feel that way, but the movie doesn't justify that enough for me to really feel it that way. It needs to have its tensile strength tested by people prodding at its silliness, its inherent silliness.
Randy,
like it's not. That's like in The Witch. They take The Witch very deadly seriously. Mm-hmm. They believe in witches, though, because they are from the 16th century and they are very God-fearing. There's a logic to the reason they would be fearful of that and why they take it seriously, and therefore we do. There's not a reason for anybody to take this seriously except for the people that have experienced it. Connie's not one of them, until at least not right away. And the only if they had just focused on Will Patton and like Richard Gere kind of getting sucked into Will Patton's circle, and then he dies out in the woods, and they're like, look, this guy's clearly insane. You need to back off this. This has to do with your wife. It doesn't have to do with a Mothman. And then he's like, but what about all these incidents? And then it's like Valley of Doubt. And then, oh shit, I've realized what's going to happen. And I go back or some shit like that. I mean, that's like a very bare bones version of this, but I just think that it at least self-justifies at that point. And that's the thing that I think this is missing a little bit is like, he's just going to go. I don't know. It doesn't.
Well, also,
hold together for me.
To be fair, there's nothing really to be afraid of. Honestly, the one person who has experienced this before is living in DC or wherever that guy is. Chicago. And the only person who's a victim of this, just goes and sits out in the woods. I mean, for the most part, the Mothman's kind of trying to help. Or just kind of playing some tricks on you. There's no real, there's nothing. That's what I'm saying. Maybe if we experience the sink scene, it would be more creepy. But all I have is this dude calling on the phone and saying your watch is in your shoe. It's that's not scary.
I agree.
I mean,
think
he's
it's a
not
parlor
trying
trick.
to intimidate him. He's not trying. He's not saying like, I'm gonna
is
fuck
he? I
you
don't
up.
know.
I don't know. Like,
This is the thing, is it's unclear like what the thing wants, and I think that's supposed to be unsettling enough on its own, but it kind of isn't when it's just doing parlor tricks. If he was if we, like you said, to your point, if they did that sink scene, but it was Richard Gere's wife speaking through the sink, then you have like a Pennywise situation for real, and it's like that's scary. It's like my dead wife is speaking to me through the fucking piping. That might actually like motivate him to go more, because I think he is supposed, like, I think the whole thing hinges on his grief over his dead wife. I think that's clearly what his like central core thing is his grief, basically, about his dead wife. But like, they don't focus on that like in the same way as they do. Like, it just doesn't play well. I don't feel that. I feel like he is just pursuing a story, but he's doing it with the lack of rigor that you would expect from somebody not being an ace journalist at the fucking Washington Post. I don't know. I have some problems with that stuff. If I think too hard about it, it just really falls apart for me. But the performances and the things like that keeps me going. Like, I think that like the editing in this is very dated in a lot of ways, but I kind of like it. I love the way like the like lights shimmer into the next scene and things like that.
It felt older than it felt older than 2002 to me. If I had just watched this movie and had no clue what the day was, I'd probably place it around like 1995. Honestly, with the editing styles and stuff like that, kind of feels, I don't know, older than.
Maybe it's like maybe it's a nostalgia thing, but I really kind of liked some of that stuff. Like, it felt like
it is
like
nostalgia.
that's the kind of stuff that makes me think about like Seven. Is it's like very moody and very like the somewhat seamless transitions, the way that they use the camera, and it makes sense for a movie that's trying to posit that there's an energy demon chasing you. It kind of undercuts all of that to have him prank call a guy and do parlor tricks.
I like most of the dated stuff in this works for me, but some of the blurry images or whatever, like, kind of reminded me of like Unsolved Mysteries or some shit, like in a way.
Reminded me of like X-Files too, honestly, like a X-Files, Monster of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's trying to do that. I think it's trying to capture that audience, and it's like it's playing with those pieces because that's culturally what was recognized as being associated with this sort of stuff at the time. It's just better done than fucking Ancient Aliens.
Did you guys notice at the very beginning when they're like looking at the house and they're like just full on about to fuck in the closet of this house that they are viewing with a realtor? Like, she the light comes on and there's a moth by the light that flies around, and then the realtor opens the closet doors or whatever. Was the Mothman like watching them about to fuck? Is this like, was that the inciting incident where the Mothman's like?
I think that I wondered about that because
something.
Because Richard Gere has that line a few minutes later where he's describing the situation with his wife to his friend from work, and he's like, "It's like, you know, the universe sees you and you're a happy couple," and he says, "I've been looking for you. You got it too good," or something like that. And it's like, that's an impactful scene for him. Like, I think that worked really, really well. But like, I also like, but in the broader context of this movie, are we saying that the Mothman is just like this chaotic judgment that's coming down on him for fucking his wife at a realtor's showing? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm teaching him some manners. You know, you can't do that.
Well, and that's the thing.
Can't be this horny
like,
and happy.
I mean, it's all over the place, because then that leads to a car crash where she sees the Mothman. She doesn't die from the car crash. She has a tumor.
But
and then it's like, it can't be taken out. Yeah, it doesn't matter that they caught it. And then it's like, oh, did the Mothman cause the tumor? Well, nobody else has a tumor. I don't like, it's just, there's just too many details that seem like, is he like, is he radiation? Yeah, is he like causing to, it's like, oh no, nobody else has. And then that's the thing too, it burns your eyes, but only for these kids. And the other dude hangs out with him at the factory and is completely unaltered physically. It's too all over the place.
It's all over the place again, because I think all of those things are from different story perspectives, stories that were told at that time. And they're all made up by independent either kooks or people trying to capture the imagination that captured them and keep this wagon train a rolling. You know what I mean? So like, it's just trying to make the incongruous congruous somehow, and it's not really doing that job. I'll be honest. Like, it's just not really managing that.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There was like one of the bonus features on this disc that I have is there was a documentary about the Mothman, and I only watched like half of it. I was hoping that it was going to be like hilarious, like the Bigfoot documentary was. It's not.
Well,
they take it very, very seriously. But
they take it seriously. And
yeah.
They take it very seriously in a very fun
not
way.
John Waters, I guess.
Yeah. But they talk about back in World War II, there was like a munitions factory that was in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and they had something like 100 silos full of just munitions that they were storing for the war, like manufacturing and storing there. And it's like all vacant now, and they just call it the quote TNT area. And a lot of the Mothman sightings allegedly happened around that area. So that made me wonder, like, I don't know, did they have like some sort of chemical spill or something, and these people that are living there are like drinking fucked up water or like are being exposed to something, and that caused some burns on the eyes or the arms or, you know, whatnot.
I think I figured it out. The Mothman is definitely a CIA plant to keep people away.
Nailed it.
From munitions. Yeah, for sure. It's like a Scooby-Doo ploy put in by the CIA to scare people away. And if you pull his mask off, it's J. Edgar Hoover under there.
There you go.
I'd have gotten away with it if it wasn't for Richard Gere.
I mean, you honestly see these, you know, Netflix has a decent amount of, you know, that nuclear plant that was on the island
Chernobyl.
or whatever.
3 Mile.
No, 3 Mile Island, yeah, and shit like that. I mean, honestly, and I'm not knocking any people or any region or anything, but if you think about a chemical plant that exists on a river in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, where the locals are completely in charge of regulation and safety, I mean, is it that hard to think that some chemicals are in the water? Like, I mean, really, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like...
This is a gallon of PCP.
I mean, it's just, there's nothing about, like Bob was saying, this is creepier on it. There is nothing that gives me any kind of hope or thought. I'm the kind of person who kind of like wants to believe because it's cool, you know, or just because it's intriguing. You know, I want to believe that this house is haunted because maybe I could experience it, or it's just like the stories are fun. There's nothing about this story or this movie that gives me any kind of like, ooh, maybe the Mothman's gonna visit me, or those feelings that you get from some spooky horror that like maybe it could happen to you, or maybe it has some kind of real impact. Like just I don't know, this movie was kind of boring. I felt like nothing happened and I didn't really feel anything about what happened. I don't know.
They say if you put your dead wife's panties under your pillow, the Mothman visits you at night.
Damn, that's
up,
very
dude.
specific.
That's really fucked up. God damn. The Mothman is a vicious cryptid, you know?
You're a monster!
Bit of a cryptid nut. I got to put my wife's...
I'm coming to smell your dead wife's panties.
God,
That's his deal. So yeah, I want to get back to like
sounds like a creeper.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
man's
that's
really-
that's what we're positing here for sure. Like that's the thing is like, what is his fucking intention? And not knowing his intention is not going to work well enough because it's not like a Michael Myers situation where not knowing what his goal is beneficial to watching him kill people indiscriminately, because we at least understand how a human being typically functions and how stabbings work. Like those things all follow with each other.
Yeah.
The rock hard facts are that this guy's going around killing people, and what you speculate about is why. That speculating why is not going to help if you're not able to even speculate what it looks like correctly, or like have any kind like any sort of like similarities there. Like it's not, all of these things seem like separate incidents that people are bringing up, and it's just a dogged like reporter that got the big scoop on X, Y, and Z and is on CNN and shit from the Washington Post is completely and totally cowed by all of this. He has no it's one thing to be respectful of the person that you're interviewing. It's another thing to then go home and be like, wow, that must be all true. Like, the cop seems to think it's all
he's
true.
Experiencing
Must be all true.
a lot of shit on his own too that he can't really explain. So
Yeah.
you got to give yourself over to it. Like if you don't, you're not gonna have a good time.
I know.
You know.
I mean,
I
did.
like I think there are themes that even like there's these little things like too like is he crazy? Is he not crazy? Is he dealing with his wife's grief and stuff like that? But even like the aspect of okay, let's say this happened. I thought that they were gonna play more with. You know, I kind of mentioned this, but okay, say that this thing does call you and it gives you some warnings or whatever. He kind of like tries to warn the governor a little bit because he thinks something's going to happen. But even playing with the idea of like, okay, like what if some monster told you that like 9/11 was going to happen and then like you couldn't prevent or you try, like, what would you do? And then would people ostracize you, ooh, calling a bomb? Like, how would you stop people from going to work that day or getting on an airplane? Or so like even like the struggle of like dealing with the guilt of, I know what's going to happen. And this thing is kind of like torturing you in that way. Like, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, but no one's going to believe you or you can't do anything to stop it. They don't even explore that aspect. Like, I just don't feel like anything is really explored with any kind of emotional depth to me.
They don't explore that or any of the consequences of him. Like, for the most part, none of the consequences of him saying this shit to the governor that turned out to not be true. Like, they don't deal with any of that. Like, if you're in that situation and you're trying to warn, like, look, don't go there. There's something bad's going to happen there. I have a source on this. Like, he did all that and that's fine. And he's like, is there a bomb threat? And he's like, just be like, I've heard there might be a bomb threat. Just like, go with it. Why not? Because the thing is, they're not going to believe the truth. And like, you know that because you're already lying a little bit about it. So just keep lying. But then if you succeed, you then have to answer the question, who's your source? How do you know?
Yeah.
And like then,
the Mothman.
I mean, I don't know.
You say I got an anonymous call. Somebody heard I was staying in the hotel here. They knew I was a reporter. They called.
But like he doesn't even face scrutiny himself, and that's the thing that like I feel like there's fertile ground there. Maybe it's just scattershot's the right word for it. Like they're trying to hang too much on the same hook here, I think.
What did you guys think about the bridge collapse sequence towards the end?
It was a good looking sequence, I thought.
Yeah.
It was a little confusing, I would say. Like it was tough to follow, like where Connie was, for example, like in space.
Yeah.
But chaotic isn't the worst thing in the world for a bridge collapse scene. So
yeah.
I also feel like this movie's kind of, well, I'll get to that. Never mind.
I don't know. It's kind of tough because you're in small town America, and I know like if this was a real incident and like people died, that is like really sad and tragic. But the way that they shoot it is the bridge. It doesn't look like, for instance, like in Saxonville, like the Dames Point or something, or what's that big bridge, the big steep bridge or whatever that looks.
Dames Point.
Okay, Dames Point. Doesn't look anything like that. And even to the point where like I know people trapped in their cars or get hit by the like swinging cables that break and stuff. That's fine, but it's not tall or big enough to keep this man from safely jumping into the water to then save Connie. So it's not like this big, like, wow, we're falling off a bridge. Like it's this, you know, in San Francisco or some shit. It's like, oh, I can safely jump in there and save somebody. I mean, I don't know. It just feels kind of underwhelming.
Things are collapsing on top of them. And also the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse that happened like just a few months ago. It looks just like that bridge. Yeah. And like, yeah, that was pretty bleak, and that wasn't a 20-car pileup. And this actually, like the 36 dead on the bridge or whatever, I do believe, based on what I watched, that is an understatement. Like that is not true. It was more people that died.
Okay.
I think it's 44 is the actual number.
What a weird thing to change.
Yeah, it's not even.
I don't
like
think that they looked into it that deep.
That much. just a little.
I think they stopped it.
Weird. Okay.
I think they stopped at people. Okay.
Yeah, okay, but here's the problem with that. In reality, yeah, it was dangerous and people died. But to make this movie dramatic and to have some love interest, you have to be able to have somebody safely jump into the water to save somebody else. So then that undercuts the danger of it.
It can, but also like a collapsing bridge is not like getting into the water doesn't mean safety in a collapsing bridge situation. Cars are falling in there. Like you're gonna get crushed.
I thought that sequence was mostly successful. It did feel like maybe it took way too long for it to fully collapse. Like it felt like these people had a lot of time
collapsed several times
to like get off this bridge. Like there's just a lot of
to their butt rock. That's
lot of
the
time.
Problem.
That kid who like got his face smashed by a wire or whatever. That moment made me think of Final Destination in a big way. The way that happened.
It was a CG moment too, in like that kind of like 2000 CG way. In fact, that I didn't like I liked it conceptually, but like the CG of the chemical plant zoom out to the bridge, it didn't look too
that
too
looked
good
like
to
dog
me.
shit, man.
Yeah. I'm not too critical of this era of CG, but that didn't look great.
Yeah.
Well,
overall,
they have to do a lot of things cheap, like when you kind of see the monster at the beginning, I guess, with the wife driving the car. I mean, you don't really see it, but then also too, like the kids in the back of the car, that definitely had like an unsolved mysteries feel to it. Like it's just it feels kind of chintzy. What this is. I know, I know,
and
but
they're trying to make it work.
It feels chintzy.
I wish they could have just focused in. Like the thing is, like if they had restrained the capabilities of the Mothman to some degree. Into like and like as interesting as it is that those were true stories sprinkled throughout, I think that that's a matter of us knowing that, not a matter of the movie. The movie doesn't necessarily tell us that, and if it did, it would be just as dubious as the other changes they make. So like, why not go full bore into fiction and just say like, no, this is at least to some degree how the Mothman works. It plagues at night only, or it travels through the electrical wires and that's it. Or like, I don't know, whatever. It's trying to help humanity and it's trying to test grieving humans into saving each other and breaking the cycle. He saved the 37th. That means the Mothman goes away forever. Like, I think they're kind of doing that, but they're not really saying it, or I don't know. And also, by the way, the Mothman did not stop appearing in Point Pleasant at any point, is my understanding. So
this movie is a lie. Any other major points, boys, before we rate this thing?
Tropey. I'll say that word. Very tropey.
Yeah. Ray and Deezy, this was your poll. Why don't you kick us off, man?
Yeah.
How do you feel out of 5?
Yeah. So we've been talking shit about this movie quite a bit, but I do have a fondness for this movie. I feel like the age I watched it at was kind of the perfect age. I want to say that that was the time when my interest in whatever interest I have in like conspiracy theories and all that sort of thing was at its burgeoning. I was cutting my teeth on that stuff a little bit, and this movie speaks to that, and that sort of thinking, that X-Files-ish-ness to it. And I think that since the way that the conspiracy theorist life cycle has gone over the last 20 or 30 years has soured me to the whole prospect in many ways, because there's some dark shit happening in conspiracy circles these days. And I don't know, like it doesn't hold the same appeal for me now as it once did, but it does hold nostalgia. So I get some of that. I will say that just straightforward positives, I think the performances in this are pretty good for the material they're working with. I don't think that, just anybody could have sold some of what Will Patton was selling to even the degree that, Bob, you felt something. Not everybody could do that. I think that comes down to the charisma of a particular actor. Richard Gere does a good job of kind of playing it straight and making his moves as stupid as they sometimes were, believable enough in the moment that it takes me a minute to question it sometimes. I think Laura Linney is just a great actress in general. I think that she gets the worst writing to try and elevate in this for herself. They try, but it's just kind of I don't know, all it is rejecting the bumpkin label and stuff like that, and that seems a little pandery to me. I don't know, she doesn't get a lot, but she's such a good actress that I still like these characters. I like her. I like these other characters. I don't know, man. There's some good stuff going on there. The way it was edited, dated, but still hits me just right, I think, for a lot of it. So some of it was in a bad way, like we mentioned, that CGI. But I don't know. Technical aspects, I think, are pretty good on this, and it's nice to see a silly cryptid formed into a movie that is this budgeted and this spectacly from an era where it was still pretty cost prohibitive to do that side that level of stuff, or at least studios weren't throwing Avengers money at shit. Yeah, I don't know. I think all those negatives and all those positives together, I'm gonna give it a nostalgia bump up to 3.5. I think it's definitely better than average, certainly for its subcategory. It's got some real problems, but that extra half point for the nostalgia, it brings it up for me. 3.5.
Right on. 3.5 from Randeezy. Juice, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to focus more on the positives in my review because I feel like I spent a lot of time kind of dogging on this movie. What I will say though is the kind of like nostalgia hit me too. Even though I said it felt like it was like earlier. I mean, I remember things like X-Files and stuff like that, and so it does hit on that. And what I will say as a positive note for that as well is I do, in the same way Randy was talking about watching this with his mom, I do feel like this is one of those bridge the gap type of things. People who are not particularly into horror, people who are too young for horror, but still want a little bit of spookiness in your life, something a little creepy. I think that this kind of hits that vibe, to be able to kind of share an experience with your kids or someone younger, or you don't want to expose them to something that's
maybe
too gory.
On
or
Christmas Eve, sit the family down.
Maybe. Probably not. But so I do think that is a positive. Something that Randy touched on too. I do like the aspect where they didn't talk down to these people as much as I would like for them to maybe explore the aspect that this isn't real or question that a little bit more. I do like the fact that they weren't like, thinking like, oh, these are a bunch of fools, or they're being tricked into this, or they're playing like they were played like regular people in this regular small town, and people are just living their lives and they're experiencing something. So I like that aspect of it too. I do think the acting was good here. I do agree with Randy, about the acting in general and like how it's written and like the love interest and stuff like that. But for the most part, I thought that everybody on screen was like fun to watch or endearing. Even that last phone call, I like the kind of messaging there where she calls and she's like, she's also not I like the way she kind of convinced him of like, she's not saying it's not real. It's not, but she was saying like, even if it is, even if somebody calls you and it's your wife's voice on the line, it's not your wife, like your wife is gone. I liked that moment. That was great. So yeah. Yeah, I kind of like the time aspect too. I like when he first showed up at Gordon's house or whatever, and they're talking about, oh, you've been here 3 nights or whatever, like some of that stuff was the kind of like most effective. The phone calls didn't really do it for me, but stuff like that was more effective for me. So yeah, I will say though that this watch definitely like I'm not as endeared anymore. I kept it in my mind. I wouldn't say I was endeared before. I remember watching it and was like positive about it, but this time, honestly, it was just kind of boring to me. It was just boring. I was surprised at how bored I was with it, or surprised at how little meat there was on the bone. Actually, I was really surprised by it, and so it did leave a negative aspect in my mind now. So that's kind of bad. So I think I'm gonna put this one at a 2.5. I think the acting's good. I think some of the writing's good. Some of the scenes are a little spooky, but mostly kind of fell flat for me. 2.5. Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna put the Mothman?
I think I'm a little warmer on this than you guys. It did legitimately like creep me out. Like I watched it like in the middle of the day too, and it still kind of got to me somehow. Like I said, maybe that's some nostalgia lingering that helps it still affect me in that way. One of the things we didn't really get too much into is the moment where he like shows the police officer a picture of his wife, and like she definitely like recognizes the face but doesn't want to totally confirm that's the lady that came into the station, and he has this like breakdown. I thought that was a really strong moment in the movie. Got to me there as well. Him like losing time and not realizing where he is also super effective. Him somehow like basically just like teleporting with his car somehow in a way is like
Mhm.
kind of wild. I dig that. I thought Indrid's voice was actually kind of effective. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but I think for what it is, what it needs to be, I think it worked just fine. It like
Mm. Hmm.
Aha, Aliens a 4.5, huh? Okay.
room to grow. I like that this was based in reality, but it also at the same time, I feel this way with a lot of like true crime TV shows and documentaries and stuff. It feels like people like just literally cashing in on like a tragedy, like an actual tragedy. People died, and this is like entertainment. That's like, it's fucking bullshit. That there is no Mothman. It doesn't exist. So there's like that weird tightrope that you're walking with this. And I mean, the dude wrote the book, whenever, I forget, in the 60s, I guess, in the late 60s, he wrote the book. So, I mean, it's not like a new story. It's been around for a while. People have been cashing in on it for a while. So, I don't know.
The 70s, yeah.
75, I think. Yeah, I think you're right. So, there's like a little bit of weirdness there for me, too.
That's fair.
I think we touched on just about everything else, though. The bridge scene I thought looked good, but it felt like it took 15 minutes for this bridge to collapse. Like people had too much time. I don't know. But I thought it was
That's
shot
the only rock hard incident that they had.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. The acting elevates a lot of it. Will Patton like adds a full star to my rating.
I want to see more of that, man.
Full star for Will Patton in this. It's funnily enough that like I feel like I was mostly talking positively about this movie, and Randy, you were mostly talking negative, but I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Like that's kind of what I was planning on the whole time. So two sides of the same coin there. So 3.5.
I think so.
From me, and that's gonna put our aggregate at a 3.2 for the Mothman.
All right.
So let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users have to say about the Mothman Prophecies.
Certified fresh. Dead.
All right, you fools. Here comes the Mothman Prophecies on RottenTomatoes.com. I'm going to have these gentlemen guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate of positive scores is going to be on Rotten Tomatoes. That's going to be for critics and users, starting with the critics. We'll start with Justin today with our critical score. That's going to be 142 reviews. What percentage of those 142 reviews, Justin, would you say are positive reviews?
I don't know. I mean, like we all, mostly talked about this being a positive kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like whenever I hear people talk about this, it's generally in positive light. And since it came out so long ago, I think some of the negatives that I personally had a problem with this time are going to be looked more favorably upon. Like, I think people are gonna, I don't know, that's not gonna bother people as much. And like I said, this is kind of one of those like bridge movies where not necessarily horror fan,
Poor choice
like
of
drama
words.
Huh?
Poor choice of words.
Which one?
The bridge movie.
Oh, no,
It's definitely a bridge move.
But yeah, so I think, I don't know, I'll go kind of, we rated it 64%. I think I'll say like 75.
75. All right. Bob, what about you? Where are you going with this one?
Critics is a tough one on this because it's about a cryptid. It's goofy, it's silly, but it's got like some money here, and it's got some like very impressive acting power behind it too. So like, I don't know. I'll continue to be on the higher side of things. And
how high?
I'll take the over, I guess. I don't know, man. Yeah, that sounds kind of crazy. I'll take a 78, I guess, a little bit higher.
Okay, 78. All right. Well,
slightly higher.
An interesting number choice, but all right. Yeah. Let's see. How far off are we? We are about 23 percentage points off. Soju's going to take this one.
Correctly. That's about Bob
52%.
It's like, it can't be 101%.
Quick math.
You can't do it. So Juice, you're going to take this one. You are so close.
We just broke our Hal Skeet and Yeet streak, though, so that's a little unfortunate.
The Skeet and Yeet streak. Fuck.
I'll still take my hell yeets, but wow, that's a lot lower than I thought.
Wait, Bob hasn't guessed yet. Bob has, like, we don't know what the.
Well,
it has to
we
go in
could
that
still have
order?
a skinny, but we have been
The
hidden in
exact
that order.
Yeah, is what we've been
I see.
doing. Yeah.
Well,
Well, we
all
could
right,
still get a skinny.
sorry to ruin
That's
the
fine.
perfect
That's
game.
fine.
It'd be
all right,
yeet
Bob.
and skeet.
Time to step
But
up.
no, yeah, that's a lot lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Well, we'll talk about it once we get through the audience scores.
Okay.
So there are 50,000 plus
Fuck.
audience ratings on this one. That's
Wow.
quite a bit. Bob, I'm gonna start with you now. Out of those 50,000 plus ratings, what percentage would you say are positive?
Definitely higher than the critics on this. I feel that's a safe bet. How high? Not crazy. Because it's still a weird movie. I'm gonna roll with a comedy number. 69, please.
Oh, 69.
69, dudes!
We're in our 30s, right? Okay, just checking.
Debatable.
Juice, how about you?
Two of us are. I don't know. That critic score is honestly kind of surprising and making me, and with the high number of, I don't know, with a high number of 69, I feel like it's going to be on that line. I might take the under on this one. I think it's maybe sitting around a 60.
60. All right. Well, significantly closer on this particular one. There's only 4 percentage points of gap between one of you and the correct answer. And that person is going to be Soju again. We've definitely broken the streak now. It is 56%.
Damn.
What, 56%?
56%
Damn.
positive.
That's pretty surprising.
It is.
These are rotten maters across the board.
I just have always heard positive things about this movie, but
Same.
maybe, yeah.
I think that the only people talking about it are the ones that remember it fondly, and that's my only theory to this, because I've seen so many people say like the creepiest movie nobody knows about or talks about or whatever, and like people make fucking clickbait hay out of this all the time.
Clickbaitiest clickbait you ever claimed.
So much hay.
Hey, yeah. So
even like in the Slack, when people were talking about this movie, they said, "Hell yeah!"
Oh god, the old yeet and yeet. My favorite kids show, Yeet and Yeet.
Okay. The critics' consensus reads as follows: a creepy thriller that poses more questions than it answers. And I don't think that's incorrect.
Mothman is bridging into theaters.
Mothman is attracted to the light of the theater? I don't fucking know.
Mothman is swarming the neons of your local theater.
Our boy Chris Stuckman calls it one of the creepiest movies ever made. So, you know.
He would.
We give that guy a lot of shit.
I know.
That guy just so much shit for no reason.
Well,
anyway,
he doesn't have great opinions. He has very weak opinions, in my opinion.
I don't.
Well, that's a very week opinion, Juice.
This is not the dragging our colleagues in horror review section of the show. I'm not into that. Let's not start internet drama.
All right.
Stuckman's all right with me. Here's some negative reviews. Psychological thriller may deeply upset some kids. What?
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, what? That's from Common Sense Media, so I think that's maybe like a Christian rag or something. I'm not sure.
A Christian
Juice
rag,
demanding someone just be more hardline on their reviews is very funny to me. I like that quite a bit.
I can't count how many times we said "I don't know" during just this review. I don't know. No, be hurt, damn you!
I can see the hate in your eyes, Stuckman. Spill it, boy.
Jesus Christ, we're gonna get stuck on this. Here's another negative review. The Mothman Prophecies is the kind of solemn, credulous junk that Men in Black so cleverly sent up. So it's just
Men in Black was
making fun of it for
97.
taking Mothman seriously. I will say this: the Men in Black are apparently deeply involved with Mothman lore. They just didn't cover it here, and it's not like the Men in Black as in the Will Smith movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like creepy zombie dudes in fedoras that go around telling people not to write about the Mothman anymore.
Yeah.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Write about the Mothman anymore, bitch.
That's a good Halloween costume.
Mothman. Yeah, sure.
Dude, what if you
I'm
got
the Man in
visited
Black.
by
No,
some
not that
guy
one.
dressed in black who told you not to write about the Mothman anymore?
Don't
Would you
write about
stop?
Mothman. Ask me what not to write about.
First
Pin
thing
on
I
his
do
lapel.
is fucking call you guys and be like, dude, like some shit's going down, man.
Write about the Mothman.
All right, one last negative review and then we'll call it quits. There are certainly strong moments and efficient set pieces here too, but for all the claims that the film adapted by from a 1975 book by John Keel is based on real events, Pellington fails to sustain credibility. And I think that's actually accurate. Not funny, just accurate.
Mothman is swarming into theaters.
All right. Let's get our asses into gear and maybe is there any trivia left or did we work it all in?
Yeah, I got some more trivia.
Okay.
Let's do it.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right there, boys. So Lakeshore Entertainment apparently cut $2 million off the budget just a few days before shooting was to begin. Bummer.
I guess so.
Out of how much of a budget? Does it say that?
No, I didn't look up the overall budget, actually.
I'm going to look it up.
Thank you. Thank you for picking up my slack. Apparently, that's something that the director, Mark Pellington, also dealt with when he directed Arlington Road from 1999. Not a movie I've seen. His shit's just kind of plagued with last-second budget cuts, apparently.
It's a $32 million budget. I mean, that's not nothing by any means, by any stretch, but I mean, $2 million off the top of that is not
Not
cataclysmic.
He probably lost a couple days or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
The name of the expert on paranormal activity is Leak in the movie, and that's just a reverse spelling of the dude that wrote the book in 75, John A. Keel. In his I know, get out of town. In his 1970 book, Operation Trojan Horse, as well as the 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, John Keel it links the Silver Bridge collapse to the alleged sightings of the Mothman. So I guess he's the guy that really kind of solidified those two things being connected.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think so. I think that if I remember what I watched well enough, he got really deep into this, and the townspeople were saying he was getting pretty paranoid, and he started he thought that all of the power in the country or something was going to go out at some point, and so he started doomsday prepping basically. And then when the bridge collapsed, he's like, "Oh no, that's what the incident was actually." So
how can
sounds like people trying to take advantage of some tragedy?
It's like every cult that's ever been like, "Oh, the world's going to end on this day," and then it doesn't, and they're like, "Oh, well, actually, we read this wrong," or
here's when it's really
it's in 6 months. Just keep giving us money. Keep being scared.
Yeah.
You guys weren't believing hard enough, so they forestalled the Armageddon. For shame.
End of days is coming. It's definitely coming.
Time to have sex before the world ends. You got to do it now.
Bang it out.
Does anyone want to switch seats?
Married, not married, whatever. Do it.
What? Married, not married. Puritan Bob over here.
Fuck. Hey. I wasn't one raising.
It doesn't matter. In the dark.
God damn.
There's no wedding rings in the dark, boys.
Yes, there are. They do exist.
My object permanence is bad, but my libido is good.
Don't worry about what's under that pillow. It's definitely not my dead wife's panties, I promise.
Jesus
Christ.
Good callback.
Why do you think I'm here, Bob? They call me Mothman Soju.
I am the queen.
I'm here to toss that salad in the dark.
Jesus.
Hope that's not a wedding ring, I feel.
Oh, no.
No wedding rings in the dark, just salad tossing. Woo, I'm the Mothman.
Don't touch that dial. You need to hear this.
Sounds like a wild night.
You got chapstick in your hand, I know it.
Dude, the product placement in this was unreal, by the way. Just the loving shot of the Washington Post sign and the chapstick. The Mothman respects brand names. He doesn't go for generic.
I respect the Mothman. The bridge collapse sequence took 3 months to fabricate every piece of the bridge from scratch. They estimated about 20,000 individual pieces of steel went into the construction, and they created a 1/6 scale model suspension bridge to support other model vehicles, and ultimately collapsed into water. So like all that shit was built out and real, and it looked good.
Awesome.
It looked pretty good, I thought.
I think that's like I just missed the days where that was like it sells differently. It just does. Like if they had done that all in the same janky ass CG that they did that pan out shot in, it would have blown ass. Thank God they didn't.
Yeah, just like the Mothman.
Yes.
I got 3 more points. This is all like real life stuff about Point Pleasant. On December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed amid some heavy rush hour traffic that did result in 46 folks dying. 2 of them were never found. An investigation of the wreckage soon pointed to the failure of a single eye bar in one of the suspension chains of which was the primary cause of the bridge failing. A finding noted...
Oh, yeah. Do you mean they actually had a reason that it collapsed, unlike the movie said?
Yeah, they pinpointed it very clearly. A finding noted in a preliminary report released within 10 months of the collapse, but then afterwards to further explain why the eye bar failed, which was a failure triggered by a flaw of just 0.1 inches deep. It was a fracture that was 0.1 inches deep in one of these eye bars.
And then at the end it said, but also the Mothman did it though.
Yeah. So that something.
Don't write about the Mothman.
The Mothman designed this bridge.
But because of this collapse, apparently it led to very significant changes in the way bridges in the U.S. are inspected and maintained. So
good.
Yeah.
Hey, something good to come out of that.
Something good. Isn't that crazy though? The smallest crack, man.
That shit like blows my mind.
Yeah.
You really gotta know your shit to make a good bridge.
I don't know how anything can be so precise, though. To be honest,
yeah, it really
I don't know. I'm dumb. I'm a dumb guy. I don't know.
Makes you question like these fucking bridges. I drive over bridges.
I am not a mechanical engineer. Yeah.
Like, fucking. You knock on wood, dude. So I did not confirm this. One of my coworkers was telling me this. I don't know. The bridges in town they've been there for decades and decades and decades, and the river runs constantly. Apparently, it washed away a lot of the sediment that the bridges are literally sitting on. So like they're sort of like stabilized by its own weight leaning into itself largely. So like I'm sure there's a certain amount of maintenance required, but like the shit that they were built on is largely washed away over time, which
dude, I've mentioned this a lot. One of the consistent nightmares I've always had throughout my whole life, like as far as I can remember, is being on what seems like the Dames Point Bridge and it collapsing. So
that would be
not gonna drive over that anymore when I come to Jacksonville.
Take the long way around. It makes your
catapult my ass.
I hate driving over that bridge. I really do.
That makes
it's
sense.
not the funnest.
It's very steep.
It's a big fucker. Yeah.
I can't imagine driving over that thing on a motorcycle.
No.
When I'm in my car, I'm like, oh my God. It's like driving into the fucking sky.
It's like about a 45-degree angle it's high as cruise ships go underneath it.
Yeah, it has to be high enough for cruise ships to go under. Yeah, and it's so fucking steep, dude. Oh my God, I hate it.
Call in with your bridge nightmares. Like that's like a common nightmare folks have.
I think so. Yeah,
that'd be a good call in. Yeah, hit us up. I got a couple more quick ones real quick. So Point Pleasant held its first annual Mothman Festival in 2002. The Mothman Festival began after brainstorming creative ways to attract visitors to Point Pleasant. Wow, doesn't that sound
around here? That means big money.
Color me shocked, boys.
I know.
Wow.
group organizing the event chose the Mothman to be the center of the festival due to its uniqueness and as a way to celebrate its local legacy in the town. According to the event organizer Jeff Wamsley, the average attendance for the Mothman Festival is about 10 to 12,000 folks a year, and they also constructed a 12-foot tall metallic statue of the creature, created by Bob Roach, and it was unveiled in 2003. There's also a Mothman Museum and Research Center in town. It was opened in 2005. The festival apparently is held on the third weekend of every September. They have guest speakers, vendors, exhibits, and also a pancake eating contest for some reason.
Hell yeah.
I don't
We must honor the
That
Mothman.
sounds more appealing than how much do you think the annual salary for
The
a
anal
Mothman
salary.
the Mothman researcher is? What do you think?
Oh,
and
this
research facility.
Dude.
I mean, this is like
What do you
roadside
do?
attraction
I
shit.
research Mothman.
It's roadside attraction shit, and I like it. I'm good for them, honestly. I'm like, embrace something that's unique to your town. Go for it. I don't have any problem with it at all.
I'm all for
more
embracing
annoyed that
something
every
that's
town in
unique
America
to
has
your
a Bigfoot
town.
festival.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't manufacture something to be unique for your town.
Well, it's they uniquely had that history, then they started embracing it in 2002. Like that works for me fine. Like people
After the movie came out, this movie came out in 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a boost in popularity. Like, hey, we can capitalize on this. Great. And
Cash in.
people there care enough about it to go for it. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, fuck it. But that's all the trivia.
I think it could be fun. I think it's all like lighthearted fun for the most part, with the the odd goofball in the mix. That would be my assumption.
This might be the perfect time to transition to our Cooter of the week.
It might be, but is it?
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what is a Cooter and why do we hunt them?
Hello! Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter. Cooter has to hit 3 of these 5 points because we want the Cooter with the most points. Oh my god. 5 points of Cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Ooh, boys.
That autopilot failed you, huh?
I know it did. It did. It took a dip there. But we stabilized. Boys, do we have a Cooter in this film? My boy Cold.
My
Mr.
boy
Freeze.
Ingrid Cold.
Yeah.
Ingrid Cold calling here.
I think
I
you
guess
could say he's
so.
manipulative.
In the film, the guy who does the voice for him is also the bartender. Apparently, I looked this up. His name is Mark Pellington.
Also,
he was
he's the director too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I did. Okay.
I was going to say that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Well, never. Okay. So wait, who we going with? Mr. Freeze?
Yeah. Ingrid Cold, manipulative. Check for sure.
Yeah.
Unknowable. Is that a point?
Looking at tire, fedora, never okay. No, just
one per crew.
That's fair. That's fair. Some people pull it off well.
Some people
but
can,
does Mr. Freeze? I don't know.
Maybe in the 50s.
Maybe.
I don't know, man.
It's kind of tough. I don't know if he's pathetic.
If
or
we had any clue,
or smug.
And they don't try to throw anybody else under the bus in this movie.
No.
Everybody's like really supportive, and
this movie could have really used a lady from the Cafe and Birds, like that sort of person. Was like, this is bullshit. Like I know my stuff. I'm from the town, so it's not a bumpkin thing. It's not like
or to like
me
post
calling
some
everyone
kind of doubt. There's no doubt in this movie.
Bring his like little buddy from the Washington Post down and have him be like, dude, you're off your rocker, bud.
I'm your little buddy, and you're telling.
I'm your little buddy, and I'm telling you. I'm your little buddy.
Listen to your little buddy.
That's great. I brought my little buddy here. He says this is all bupkis. What do you guys think? Gonna tell my little buddy what's what?
You gotta pass a little buddy test.
There's nobody to. There's no kind of sexual deviance in this movie. There's no kind of. There's really no like strong negativity in this film.
Depends on how strongly you feel about not making out with your wife on the floor of a closet in your realtor
Fair game.
What a choice! Like they're about to just fuck. Like you don't view a house that long. I mean,
I thought the realtor left. He was just in the next room, and then he comes in. He's like,
he was waiting in
you
the
gotta
car or something.
Yeah, and they're just like, he's like, well, you got to make an offer, and he's like, we'll take it, and then he closes the door up. That's a G moment. I appreciate that last bit.
Yeah, he
Good for
closed
him.
the door.
This is now mine, so fuck off.
No, I guess they didn't fuck because they're like speeding home to fuck. But he closed the door. They still get a little
they might have gotten in
action. Yeah, maybe.
They might have got a little dick tip in there for a minute.
Just the tip, just to like really really edge yourself hard.
It's like breaking a champagne glass on the hull of your new boat. You know, it's just good luck. You got to break it in.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And then you take those panties and you put them under your pillow and you get haunted and you lose your job and a bridge collapses. And
now that's a movie worth seeing.
There you go.
I'd watch that movie.
There's no Cooter, I don't think. Like, yeah.
No, I think
we're spinning wheels here pretty hard.
Yeah. So, yeah,
all right.
Cooter free since 2002. There you go.
Mothman
Prophecies. Boys, let's finally talk about what we've been watching these past 2-3 weeks, whatever it's been. Let's do it.
Hey, gang, what you been watching?
Randy, kick us off, man. What you been watching?
Sure, I got a little backup here. I've watched the first episode and not more yet, although I'm interested to continue, of a documentary series called Stax, Soulville, USA, about the Memphis recording studio Stax that recorded a fuck ton of great artists back in the day. It's very interesting. I'm just kind of getting my feet wet with it a little bit. It's a little bit of a passive watch, but I enjoy it so far. I watched Stop Motion, the new horror film about a stop motion animator who has mental things happening to her. And I have some opinions on that I might reserve for a bonus episode. I'm still kicking that one around.
Nice.
Yeah. I rewatched a documentary that I brought up before. I feel like I had to have, called Three Identical Strangers, about three dudes who were adopted and later found out that they had twin and then triplet brothers, and then how their lives went from there. And apparently it was all due to an undisclosed medical experiment on seeing how children raised in different families come out, and it fucked up a bunch of people, and it's really shitty.
That's insane, dude.
It's very fucking insane. I rewatched That Thing You Do. It was great. It's a great movie.
Classic.
No notes.
Classic.
I have watched a couple of recaps of the previous seasons of The Boys and the previous season of Severance, because those shows are coming out with new episodes. And I'm excited about both of those. And then last but not least, not a watch, not really any of those things, but it is something that I took a lot of time to do yesterday, which was ride the fuck out of every roller coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. We rode all 10 coasters more than once.
Damn, that's a lot.
And a couple other things.
Dude,
yeah.
holy shit.
The lines there, having been put through the fucking metal, like the hard fucking line centric world of Disney parks for so many years and Universal parks, it was a breeze, dude. Like I've never seen a theme park in the summer have lines that are consistently less than 15 minutes wherever you go.
That's dope, man.
It was great. Yeah.
To be able to hit all 10 or like all the coasters just once is.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I didn't hit every one of them twice. I hit a few of them twice, but I hit all 10 of them, and then some extra.
Dude,
that's a lot.
I think I'd lose my lunch if I hit like.
Also, too, 10
well,
coasters.
We even paced it a little bit.
Yeah.
10 coasters is intense.
That's a lot, yeah.
There was only one that gave me any sort of, like, it's the first time I've ever gotten, like, a little bit of, like, uneasy stomach was on Apollo's Chariot, just because it's so up and down. But people love that one. Their new one is called Pantheon, and you go backwards multiple times. It's great. It's fucking great. You get launched 4 times. 4 fucking times.
Damn.
It rules.
Cool. That's badass.
Yeah. That's it for my What You've Been Watching. Juice, how about you? What you been watching?
Not too much. Even with the backup, the only thing I saw was that new Furiosa movie in theaters, and it's no Fury Road. It's kind of feels like a watered down Fury Road. There's still some stuff there. There's some good stuff there, but it's just hard to follow that up. I don't know. That's just such a good movie. It's, it was fun enough to see it. I'm glad I got to see it in theaters. It's one of those movies you definitely, it's good to see it in theaters, but it's like, we need to give, I don't know. Something about some of those characters that were so intriguing for the beginning was it was just so random and you don't want a lot of backstory and information about them. So even when they were like, yeah, we're going to go back and redo it, I was like, really? But it's okay. Unnecessary, but okay. Really, that's it. That's all I've been watching. I am just too damn busy these days. Bob, what you been watching?
Yeah, I watched a few things. So I'd never seen Inside Out before. The sequel's coming out or just came out.
Yeah.
Solid Pixar movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Cute. It's cute.
Yeah, it's dealing with
one that has a weepy moment.
Dude, yeah. It made me a little misty at the end for sure. It definitely got me, but it was teaching kids a lot of really important lessons about emotions, dealing with emotions, choosing how you react to things, having dealing with complex emotions, and not running from sadness and embracing it and being important and stuff. It's just a really cool movie. I don't know. I really liked it a lot, and it made me kind of want to watch the sequel. There's a lot of great voice actors in it too.
Mm-hmm.
The whole cast is solid. So yeah, I liked it more than I thought I would actually. So watch Inside Out if you haven't seen that. Recommend. I revisited The Goonies. Been years since I'd seen The Goonies.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. And that one in my mind has always been stone cold classic, 80s gem or whatever. But I don't know, man. Some of the stuff maybe just didn't hit me quite right this time. I don't know. It felt like maybe a kind of stale, kind of.
Really.
Kind of like it. I don't know. Some of the stuff.
It's got a little bit of autumn vibes. Maybe it was off your calendar, Bob.
It's
it reminds me of summer.
I guess it is end of summer. It's more end of summer movie, I think, than autumn to my mind.
I think there's touches of autumn, but I could be wrong. It's been
gloomy.
a while.
It's a very gloomy situation.
Rainy,
well, because it's Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. So it's hard to.
And
they're in caves half the movie, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know.
And then it's a water ride, half of it.
It is, yeah. It's kind of mind blowing that there isn't a Goonies ride at every park everywhere. But some of the stuff didn't really age well, man. There's some I don't know, kind of sketchy stuff in there. But it's
all right. Woke Bob.
It was okay. It was okay.
Goonies woke. That's the thumbnail says.
The clickiest bang you ever clicked. It's fine.
No, I mean, it's my favorite thing to watch. I love that movie, but I watched that movie probably 6 dozen times before I turned 12 years old. I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
It's just part of my DNA. I can't besmirch it, but I've heard other people, your mileage varies depending on how much you've seen it or other factors. I will say this, when I lived in Astoria, it was fucking awesome as shit to just walk down the street and just be at a filming location. It was really fun.
Yeah. The setting is beautiful.
It's so
great.
beautiful.
It's
that
great, yeah.
is one of my favorite places I've ever stayed for a significant amount of time, for sure.
The Goonies, it's okay. I don't know. I also got to watch Scream on the big screen for the first time. Sunray in their final weeks of being open, they're just playing a lot of requested movies. And I requested a dozen. This was on my list. I'm sure other folks also requested it, but it was sold out. On a Tuesday night, completely sold out. The crowd was having a great time, oohing and on and laughing and, responding to crazy shit happening. And there were certain lines that just really stick out in a way, when you're watching it in a theater, a packed crowd, that the things that people react to are not the same things that you might react to on your couch with one or two other people. Just some of the jokes hit different, some of the lines carry more weight. It was just a cool way to experience a movie I've seen countless times, and it was great. I loved it.
I missed the title of the movie. What movie was it?
Scream.
Scream. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, great flick.
Hey, still really, really good. So that was a fun
4.5
experience.
stars.
That was the first movie you watched in your new house, right? Damn, you bet.
I know. It was. Yeah.
Scream, my guy.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't get tired of it. I revisited Spider-Man No Way Home. and I hadn't seen that since it was in theaters, and that still holds up pretty dang good. I think that's definitely one of my favorite Marvel movies. It has stakes and like weight and a lot of, characters that you've seen from other movies, and I don't know, a lot of fun action sequences. I liked it. Overall, definitely one of the better ones that we've seen since we've been revisiting some of those. Finally, the last thing I did was I saw the Menzingers, a band called the Menzingers. This is not a movie. Play live in Orlando this weekend for the birthday festivities, and they never disappoint. They're great. They're a great band. They kill it. Something that Alice pointed this out to me. One of the frontmen, I don't remember their names, but the dude that's like shorter and has like the male baldness pattern or whatever. He looks so much like Paul Giamatti. I can't unsee it now. He's when they were playing too. He had like this like satin button-up shirt with a couple buttons undone and like a gold chain, and he's got the Paul Giamatti like hair, and he had some glasses. He just looks so much fucking like Paul Giamatti. It was, I don't know, added to my enjoyment. Good band. Check them out.
That's a fucking incredible band.
Yeah. Good shit. That's it. That's what I've been watching. That's what I've been doing. There you go.
There you go. There.
We do not have any voicemails this week because nobody loves us. Nobody loves us this week.
What's so funny about that, Bob? You think it's funny that nobody calls
laughing
us
at your own jokes?
I love that sound was created by a human being, and now it's going to be a bump forever. Thank you. Thank you, sex symbol Donald Sutherland.
Whoa.
Oh shit.
Jesus.
No voicemails this week, but if you guys are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail for next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Again, I think, if you have a recurring nightmare or have had a nightmare about, a bridge, falling off a bridge collapsing, whatever, call in, tell us your nightmare stories. Any other prompts?
Yeah, I do have a prompt.
Yeah.
Like, I really want, like, if anybody here took any sort of offense to us, like, shitting on the idea that the Mothman's real or any of that shit, call in, man. Tell us your stories. Convince us.
Have you ever had like a cryptid experience? Maybe that was our problem last week. I don't know, but
I think it was. But I really still want it. I still want them if they got them.
Have you felt like you ever like? Sometimes my dad will say this too, and he is not like a technical like cryptid believer, but he sometimes like he'll say like he'll dream something and it'll happen. Do you ever have any like premonition experiences of something?
I know everything.
Yeah, is it a blessing? Is it a curse? Let us know.
I think I mentioned on last week's show that I did years ago have a conversation with someone, and I can't remember who it was. They had like a legitimate Mothman like story, and I don't even remember the details of it, but it was interesting. I don't know. They were like somewhat skeptical about it too. It wasn't like I 100% know the Mothman.
Yeah,
it was like this crazy thing happened, man. It was weird. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, shit happens that you can't necessarily explain, and it's fascinating to talk about.
I have a mutual friend of all of ours who I won't blow up his spot, but like who told me some spooky stuff growing up that happened to him or was passed on from family to him or something like that. And, spooky stuff I don't ultimately believe, but,
I want to hear about it for sure.
Oh,
I want to hear about it.
Richard, right? Richard Jones. He lives off of Bay
Dick
Meadows.
Jones.
And now just
look him up in the phone book. Give him a call.
He's married now. He's got a couple kids, right? Joseph and
where is this going now? I'm concerned about the involvement of children in this fantasy.
He lives on 69 Soju Lane, I think.
Oh.
I don't like the look of it.
All right.
Yep. Call in 904-638-3231. There, nightmares, cryptids. Call in. I know you're listening. I know you got them. Hit us up.
All right.
That's going to do it for us this week. Next week, we're going to be back with a brand new show per usual. Words.
Yes.
They're hard. What do they do? I don't know. We're talking about the final U pick of the second quarter of the year. This one was chosen by your boy Matt S. The movie
shit.
is The Witches from 1990.
Nice.
All right. I'm
Good
excited.
one.
Yeah, check out
Another
The Witches.
childhood fave.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one's like everywhere. Like super easy to stream, rent.
Is it?
Buy on a Blu-ray, buy on a DVD. I think it's pretty accessible. So check out The Witches from 1990. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, you can find us on all the social media outlets. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. We'll pop right up. If you want to join in the daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets. Let us know, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.